Hi, this is Kurt Verone, and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Vlog. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me. I've been traveling quite a bit, had quite a few legal cases that I've been working on in Rhode Island, and so I just wanted to catch up. I haven't had a chance to do a vlog in a couple of weeks, and one of the things that happens is that I try to blog 5 times a week with a certain case in mind, one case per blog. And what happens is there's maybe some weeks 8 or 10 different interesting stories, and I'm not able to cover all of them in the blog. So thought what I try to do is catch up over the last couple of weeks on some interesting cases, some of which I've got a lot of material on, some of which I don't have a lot of material on, but at least point you in the right direction. And one of those is a case that came down this past week. It was a case that was filed, and I've got the complaint. I'll post a copy of the complaint, but I don't know a lot of the details beyond what's in the complaint. But we've got it's out of the Eastern District of Virginia, but it's a patent case, which that's the first one. I've got a couple of copyright cases involving fire departments. This is the first one involving a patent. And what the allegations are that a company, Gray Manufacturing, has a patent on a certain type of vehicle lift for repairs. I'm assuming that some sort of a lift to get the large truck off the ground to do some work underneath it, and that there's some sort of a wireless connection that the operators can use to raise the apparatus. And so they have a patent on it, and they're alleging that a volunteer fire department in Virginia must have purchased the device or a device that violates the patent. And the bottom line is they're suing this volunteer fire company for a patent infringement because they purchased a system that violates their patent. So, and I studied a little bit of patent law in law school. I don't know much about patent beyond that, but I think it's kind of unusual that a manufacturer would go after an end user for a patent violation and not the company that actually made it, and probably should be the one that's more responsible. But at any rate, Gray Manufacturing versus the Ashburn Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department. I'll post a copy of that complaint for those who may be interested. Another case that kind of slipped under the radar, and it wasn't so much it was a legal proceeding. It looks like it was dismissed before it really got very far. But we had an LA County medic who on a run actually was transporting a patient who got a little unruly. The patient was a female, and she tried to get up off the stretcher, and they weren't sure exactly what she was going to do once she got off the stretcher. So the medic pinned her to the stretcher and held her in place until they could get the vehicle to the hospital. And but there happened to be a police officer that was accompanying the patient, and he felt like there was some sort of an assault or some sort of inappropriate action on the part of the LA County medic, and actually arrested or had the medic arrested once they got to the hospital. So the medic was later released once the body cam video from the sergeant, it was actually a police sergeant that was in the EMS unit, but the charges were dropped and he was released. But very uncomfortable kind of situation here between police and fire, and really an unfortunate. I think I'll give you the link to the article that goes along with it, but really kind of troubling fact pattern that the police would be have a lack of understanding of what our job is and what we're trying to do, and prevent someone from getting up, especially someone who might be unbalanced mentally, and I'm not sure that was the case, but I believe the medic was saying that once she stood up and once she got out of the stretcher, what was going to stop her from jumping out of the ambulance? And if that was a concern, I would think that there was some question there. But I'll leave you the link. And interesting story. Fortunately, there were no criminal charges, at least as of this date. Certainly, the police officer has some, I think, explaining to do, as you arrested a firefighter, and whether it's false arrest charges or whatever could possibly come from that. So that wasn't really discussed in the article, but really, I think, an unfortunate situation. Last case that kind of passed under the radar is one out of Hillsborough County, Florida, where a firefighter who apparently last year had brought some sort of a cooker into the firehouse and was cooking coconut and cannabis at work. Now, apparently he had some sort of a medical marijuana card, but bottom line is when it was discovered that he was cooking cannabis and coconut in the firehouse, he was terminated. He appealed his termination. The termination was upheld. And now the firefighter is filing suit in state court to try to get his job back. So I've been trying to get the complaint. I've been aware of this case for about a week now. I've not been able to secure the complaint. If I am able to get it, I will post it on the blog. But I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to get that. But there's just an example of 3 cases over the last, say 10 days or so, 10 days to 2 weeks. Pretty interesting stuff, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to cover all of them. So, but I thought it'd be helpful to do that. Also, want to let you know I've been in discussions with Penwell Publishing Fire Engineering on the 4th edition of Legal Considerations. The 3rd edition, which is the last edition, was published in 2014. So we're in the preliminary stages of discussing the 4th edition. You will not see it until, if at all, in 2020. It'd be very late 2020, more than likely 2021 or 2022. I'm very confident it's not going to be 2020. It's going to be 2021 or 2022. The target date we're looking at for my first draft is probably going to be in November of 2020. So there's a process there that's got to be followed. But looking forward to getting that book updated. We did let it go a little bit longer than usual, but I know a number of departments are using it for promotional study, and maybe it's a good thing that we let it go longer rather than shorter. And I know a number of colleges are using it for that fire law class that's part of the FESHE curriculum as well. So, the process of going through the 3 editions, this is going to be the 4th edition, caused me to realize back when I started the book, I started writing the book in 2002, there was no such thing as Facebook. Cell phones looked a little bit different. They didn't have cameras built in. And so a lot of things have changed, and I think the book needs to keep evolving and keep up with the latest issues that come up. We've got 3 more classes this year. Got one coming up in Oklahoma City next week, a discipline class. We've got discipline classes in Marion County, Oregon, I think it's 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. That's a closed class, but there may be some folks from Oregon that may be attending. I believe they're opening it up to folks from Oregon. And we got our FLSA class coming up in Georgetown, Texas, December 10th to the 12th. So that's always a big one. And Georgetown's a great host. They've got a very, very large room for us, and we enjoy going down there. And then it's the holidays, and then we're into January. In January, I'll be in Clearwater, Florida, January 22nd, 23rd for the discipline class, and Henderson, Nevada, which is right next door to Las Vegas, January 29th and 30th for the policies class. So it's going to be, be spring before we know it. That's how my life goes. But looking forward to the holidays and getting some of this classwork and coursework out of the way, and certainly getting started on the 4th edition to legal considerations. So that'll be it for another edition of Fire Law Vlog.